We can. Questions for Coach? Ramona here on the left on the fourth row. 2.
I was not intending to ask this first, but Coach, we've been making a lot out of Tyrese's aggressiveness and how much he's able to drive into the paint and all that. What kind of things can you guys do to get him going more and to get back to that level of aggressiveness?
We have to do everything better as a team. And when we do everything better as a team, it enhances all of our guys' abilities to play better. More attention to detail on defense, blocking out, that gets us more rebounds, that gets us in transition. We've made more than our share of mistakes with defensive coverages. We can do better there. Better screening is another thing. Our spatial stuff has got to be better offensively. We've got to get the floor set up the right way. Oklahoma, they're so great defensively. They swarm. They cause all kinds of problems, and so we've got to do a better job with reads, and that will help Tyrese along with everyone else.
Fourth row, straight ahead.
Hi, Coach. Taking you back a few years ago, can you talk about your relationship with Larry Bird, just how important he has been for you as a coach, and especially on bringing you back in 2021?
Yeah, listen, I get to play with Larry for 3 years. My first 3 years in the NBA were with him, and he was the best player in the world. He had been the MVP the previous year that I've been drafted, and then he was MVP in '85 and '86, we went to the finals 3 straight years. So it's one reason that I've had some exposure to this, and then working together with him when I was an assistant coach and he was a first-time head coach was another great opportunity for me. I was going from being a second assistant to now having lead assistant responsibilities, doing practice plans, doing things that help prepare me to eventually have the opportunity to become a head coach. So, look, the relationship with Larry has been, it's just been an amazing journey, and he's still consulting with the organization. He's still involved with helping out with the draft. And so I don't think you'll see him at the games, but he's around the facility. I think he'll be around a little bit tomorrow. There's some draft workouts, so I'll see him. But definitely grateful for all the time I've spent with him over the years.
Fifth row on the right on the aisle.
Rick, this is the first NBA Finals game in Indiana in 25 years. You mentioned when you guys won the Eastern Conference Finals, the phrase is popular around here. It's basketball in the other 49 states, but this is Indiana. In your experience, what is special about the sport in this state and the connection between the sport and its fans?
Well, there's a wholesome historic element to it. Certainly the movie Hoosiers is one thing. But IU basketball, with Coach Knight all those years, Butler with the runs that they've had over the years when Brad Stevens was the coach there. And the Pacers have great history, great rich history, going back to the ABA days where they won 3 championships. And so it's just there's a lot of terms thrown out there. It's on the court. We grow basketball here. I've seen that. There's a lot of pride in it, and so it's meaningful.
Next question here, Dustin.
Eric, you quoted a couple times the line you said, I think it's from Steve Nash, you said in the playoffs when you feel like you're never going to lose again, and when you lose, you feel like you're never going to win again. Do you still feel that way as a coach for as many playoff games as you coached? Does it still feel that way, or have you gotten past that? And if you did, when did you get past
that? It's a great quotation because it was made by somebody who was a player, and really, Steve Nash being a consecutive 2-time MVP is an all-time great player. And acknowledging that, it showed not only, it showed a lot of wisdom, is really what it showed. But one thing we've preached all year, and really as long as I've been coaching, but as you gain more experience, you know, it becomes more evident is that the highs and lows you've got to try to avoid, and you've got to try to stay on an even keel. You got to keep a high level of aggression, but a high level of poise. And so, you know, the journey of the finals is unique because it's spaced out pretty long, and so there's a lot of two-day gaps where, you know, a loss is something that a team can sit with and stew over for 2 days, and a win can be something that can weaken a team. And so, you know, try to acknowledge that and communicate it, but not over-communicate anything, and try to stay in the present moment as much as possible.
Next question right in front.
Coach, your second unit really got things going, especially from behind the arc in that first half. Heading into game 3, is that something that's a point of emphasis, or do you look at it as something that happens organically?
What's this?
Just 3-point shooting from your bench guys in that first half in game 2. Is that something that you go into game 3 sort of a point of emphasis, or is it more of something you like to see happen organically?
We have a process that we try to stick with, and if we can generate good threes, we love good catch and shoot threes like every other team in the league. They're hard to come by against Oklahoma because of, you know, how diverse and versatile their defense is, and they have great defenders. So we've got to do a better job. And as Ramona asked the question about, you know, what can the team do to help, you know, player X, and like every player will function better and our team will function better if with the stuff on the margins we can do a better job.
Next question, front right.
As far as the pickup points, you know, a lot of guards.
I'm not going to talk about strategy, but if you have another question.
Just as far as, I guess, regarding, I guess, basketball in Indiana, as you said, it being something that's, you know, there's a lot of phraseology around it, but what is your connection to it outside of coaching here now? And is there any, like, I guess, hallmark moments that you've had regarding it?
Basketball in Indiana? Well, yeah. I mean, this is the third time I've been here. So, you know, and I've been here really during 3 probably different eras of the NBA, which has been quite interesting. And, you know, the first time was with Larry, and it was a team that, you know, most people thought had run its course and needed to be broken up and everything else. And you know, Larry came in and really just revitalized and energized a group of veteran players that had a lot more left than people thought. And you know, it was 3 conference finals runs, and the third one we were able to get to the finals, and so that was amazing. And then coming back here in 03 through 07, whatever it was, it was a completely new team, pretty much, other than, you know, Reggie was still here, and Reggie was still a guy who looked like he was in his prime, even though he was in the later stage of his career. And he was great, and, you know, guys like Jermaine and Artest and Jeff Foster, and, you know, Tinsley had a good run with that group, and there were a lot of key guys. And so we had a couple of really good years, and then we had some challenges. So, but, you know, and then being back this time, it just kind of all comes, I guess, full circle. You know, we're living in we've lived in kind of a different section of town each time. That's been good too, you know, to kind of learn more about things. And so I'm just grateful. You know, it's a wonderful place. You know, we have great character, not only with guys on the team, but support staff and in the organization, and certainly ownership has a lot to do with it, and management. So feel very blessed.
Last question in the center.
Rick, obviously you knew Slick Leonard very well, and he means a lot to this franchise, and a lot of people wish he was here tonight. What can you tell us about your relationship with him personally, and also what he means from the transition that the Pacers went through from the ABA to the NBA, and going from that to this?
Yeah, I got to spend a lot of time with Slick because you know, when I was here with Larry, they were very close because they had known each other, and I think they both have Indiana roots. And so, you know, on the road we would let's just put it this way, we'd spend a lot of time together. And you know, he was an amazing person who had amazing stories about the game. And you know, were you mentioning Nancy? Did you bring up Nancy?
Slick and Nancy.
Yeah, Nancy sits right behind the bench. So, you know, I see her before every game. She was gone for a lot of the season, but she's back and she looks fantastic. And so it's great to have her back in the building. You know, so but look, I mean, Slick's in the rafters. Slick's got a court named after him at the practice facility. We're not going to forget that guy. I mean, he was something else, and Boom Baby's something that it hasn't, you know, if nobody's trademarked it or something, they should have. You know, there's a lot of cash there if somebody hadn't tapped into it. But he wasn't that kind of guy either. You know, he would want to share it with everybody. So, but I think about him often. His name comes up often. Boom Baby, you hear it all the time. So certainly wish he was here tonight. But in his stead, Nancy will be here, and it'll be great to see her.
Thank you, Coach.